Hello everyone, welcome back to the Back Post podcast. I hope you're doing well. Today we're talking about that Premier League, the dramatic Premier League weekend that has just happened. But of course, we're going to start with Tuchel versus Conte, Chelsea versus Spurs. Very dramatical game on Sunday. Absolutely crazy game, and there's a lot to talk about. So let's just get jumped in straight away with that game. I think there's so much to talk about with this game, but I think, firstly we've got to talk about the game and the tactics, and it was an interesting tactical battle between two of the league's best managers. Everyone talks about Klopp, Pep, but I think just below those two is Tuchel and Conte, two extraordinary managers, and the tactics this game was just fascinating. Team news has come out, and sat there at the bridge, and Ruben Loftus-Cheek's on playing right wing back, and you're thinking straight away, hold on, what's going on here, Tuchel? But it was genius. It was pretty good. So the system was, of course, we all know Tottenham's system. Chelsea fans played that system, for how long? Just 2 seasons. We know it so well. Everyone knows it. It works. It's tried. It's tested. It's there. It's done. We know it. So Tuchel, knowing that going into this game, knew that the threat would be the front three of Kane, Son and Kulusevski, with those wing backs making a front five basically, especially on counter attacks. So Tuchel set up his team to have 5 defenders, as we normally do, being obviously Koulibaly, Reece James, Silva, Loftus-Cheek and Cucurella. So when Tottenham were on the attack, we had 5 defenders man marking each one and just completely blocking that attack. But then in transition or then in attack, Ruben, instead of playing more of a wing back, he was still out there on that right, but he was coming in way more, becoming more of like a 4-2-2-2 with like a box midfield kind of thing, with Kante, Jorginho and Mount and Loftus-Cheek kind of ahead of them, and then that created way more space in that midfield to block out their midfield, because their midfield would have only been the 2 players with the defenders dropping back, and that worked absolutely perfectly. I think we blocked Tottenham out of the game completely. They were not good at all, especially during that first half. Surprisingly, to be honest, I think I could speak for every Chelsea fan watching or listening right now. We were scared and nervous going into this game. It was a nerve-wracking time, wasn't it? We didn't know, we know Tottenham under Conte now is a machine to be messed with, and I think, game week 1 showed us having a poor game against Everton and then smashing up Southampton. I think everyone was pretty nervous, but Tuchel just got it absolutely right. I think he won this tactical battle for this game. And because they didn't look great, they looked off it. I think the atmosphere might have got to them a little bit. It was really loud in Stamford Bridge. It was a great atmosphere to be in, and it was brilliant. We stopped them playing their football, and then we get a set piece, we get a corner, and Koulibaly scores a fucking unbelievable volley from outside the box. He was left with so much space. I think they knew that there was a lot of in-swingers coming, and they zonally mark, but then that was just left Koulibaly on his own. And to be fair to Tottenham, why mark Koulibaly outside the box? Surely his threat is inside the box with a big centre-back header, but no, he came out with something special in his Stamford Bridge debut, pulled out that goal. Oof, man. And individually he played a fucking brilliant game as well. The slide tackles of perfection. I just love them. I think, obviously that's quite a traditional style of defending, but has to be done right in this modern game, and he was just perfectly executing every single tackle. It was great. But yeah, so that's kind of the tactics of the game. We get that first goal. I think we slip up a little bit and let them get their goal, the next one, and then in the second half, I think Conte's throwing everything at it. He's bringing Richarlison on, he's bringing Moura on as a wing back. They were just going balls to the wall, but we still managed to control the game on the most part. We managed to kind of pretty much have control of every part of that game. But we obviously let them get their goal. who was it? Was it Højbjerg? We just give him too much space, and I think that was just a kind of momentarily lapse of judgment from all the players. But then Reece James gets put as wing back, and to like open up the system a bit more, keeping Ruben on though as well to kind of control the game. He had both those two players had a great game, and Reece James just scores a wonderful goal, assisted by Sterling as well, which is nice. And he celebrated like mad, and it was on the other corner to me, and I was a bit annoyed by that. I was like, please come over here, man. But no, it was absolutely beautiful. Really, really good goal, and the scenes at the bridge were brilliant. And then the 90th minute rolls around, and Spurs have probably got their most, threatening piece of attack in the whole game. And two things happen. I think two things happen here. One, we don't deal with these corners. We keep letting corners come in, and that just builds the pressure in that minute as well. With the Spurs fans behind, we should be dealing with that. We should be just getting it out and going, and absolutely that's what should be happening. But also, Romero absolutely fouls Cucurella. Absolutely, if not a red, a yellow bookable offence, which would have took the pressure off, which would have ended the game, and we would have stepped away with that from 2-1, which I feel like we should have deserved. Tottenham fans they should not feel like they deserve. They won essentially because they shouldn't have got anything from it, and although they did. So I mean, and I know that's what Josh said. Josh said, "I'll take that." Because we were shit. That was his words. First thing he messaged me. Ross messaged me something else. Ross was like, you thought you won, didn't you? But no, so yeah. And then and that allows them to get a goal, and it's bullshit, man. Anthony Taylor's a fucking terrible referee. I know Tottenham fans will go, you did, Cucurella stepped on Romero in the 9th minute, like that means anything, like that's going to affect the game at any point, like, maybe Cucurella should have had a yellow, no goals would have happened at that, but this directly influenced the goal, which cost us 3 points. And it's Anthony Taylor being incompetent. His incompetence is absolutely ruined our chances of winning a massive game early doors, like a big game against Tottenham, who are, everyone's favourite to be top 3, even mine. I say that like I haven't put them in my top 3 myself. But, a huge game, kind of robbed from us, from Anthony Taylor. And you know what? Tuchel said it best. I'm not allowed to coach my next game, but he's allowed to referee the next one. It's bullshit, man. He's a fucking terrible referee. He has been for years. And this kind of appeals to a bigger problem in the Premier League with all these referees are shit. Not one referee we can say has proper credible, a credible game behind them. They're all shit. They're all just incompetent, and the addition of VAR have made them even more incompetent. And it is just annoying, and something needs to be done. Something needs to happen here, and I'm filming this early doors on the Monday, so I'm hoping, I'm interested to hear what everyone else has to say on this matter. But that was annoying. I think, although the incompetence of the ref, the fact that we had so much dominance in this game, something else needs to be addressed though. And it's that we should have wrapped this game up before. There shouldn't have been an opportunity for Tottenham to get that equalising goal for the second. There was times where we should have scored maybe 3-4 goals, I'd say. I don't think that's pushing the boat out there. I don't think that's something silly of me to say. We should have scored more. And this is an overarching problem at Chelsea. This is the bigger problem at Chelsea right now. None of our attackers scored this game. It was Koulibaly, our centre-back, and Reece James, our right-back. Don't get me wrong, Reece James is an attacking player, of course, and he's going to get goals this season, but we cannot rely on him. He scored so many last season, and he's going to score so many this season, but he's like one of our only goal threats, and we can't rely on that. We cannot rely on that. That's not good enough. I think Havertz had the best chance of them all and absolutely fluffed it. Sterling just shits the bed sometimes, man. This was what I was worried about Sterling. I think he's a world-class player and he's going to be good for Chelsea and he's going to get goals, but sometimes he just doesn't have the right decision-making. I think sometimes he'll just make the wrong pass or take an extra touch. Like in this game, there was times where he was in the box a few times. He was in the box and he'd take an extra touch, and that just gives, defenders, Romero, Dyer, they're going to love that. They'll be like, all right, wicked, take the ball, get it out rapid. He should just be absolutely walloping it. And that's say the same for Mount as well. Mount had some chances in this game that he should have took. Even Conor Gallagher had a chance at the end, who came on and played well actually. and that was nice to see. And I'm sure he'll get some more minutes in a Chelsea shirt this season. And Broja as well. Broja came on and added a bit of bite, and I like that. And to be honest, I'd start Broja ahead of Havertz next game. Give him a chance, because Havertz, we all know he's a great player. But he needs to kick up the arse, because he keeps getting game time but not performing. He should have scored this game. That game could have and should have been 3-1, which meant we wouldn't have had that late equalising goal, and we should have wrapped up that game. So I think Broja should start over Havertz. I don't know if that's controversial or not, but let me know in the comments, wherever you are listening or watching. But yeah, and then finally, to wrap this game up, to wrap up this section of the podcast, Chelsea Tottenham. Of course, you got to talk about the fight in quotation marks between Tuchel and Conte at the end. Throughout the whole match, really, there was tension there, and you know what? Good. There should be tension. This should happen in a game like this. It's a fucking London derby. It's a massive game between two big clubs. I want to see passion. I want to see bite. One of my favourite things about Conte when he was Chelsea manager, he had a bit of bite about him. He had a bit of, something about him. He'd go and celebrate with the fans. He'd run about. He'd piss managers off. Mourinho, one of our best ever managers, was the king of doing this. And Tuchel's got that about him as well. And I think that's why Chelsea fans like him. And yesterday showed he had that about him, and they threw a few bit of handbags. And they've gone for the handshake at the end after a quite tense game of them arguing a little bit, and then shaking hands, and then Conte just didn't let go, trying to wind him up a little bit. But I love Tuchel was like all for it, you know what I mean? And I want to see that. I don't want to see the Klopp and Pep, licking each other's asses, giving each other big hugs and respecting each other. I don't want to see that. I want to see, Tuchel annoyed that his team didn't win. That's passion. That's football. I love that. So you know what? I don't care. I'm happy to see this. And Spurs away is going to be absolutely tasty, and I cannot wait for it. But that's Chelsea versus Tottenham. That's a big portion of this podcast, my reaction to that. Josh, of course, isn't with me today. He's out in the Lake District doing things, so he couldn't be here, which is annoying. But I do believe he's going to send me a clip. I actually haven't spoke to him much because I don't want to speak to him after a Tottenham game like that. But I think he's going to send me a clip. If he has, you're going to hear that right now.
Right, I'm going to keep this really short because, oh my days. Right, I'm going to keep this short because I've got to actually go, hence why I'm not on the pod. But when this game first ended, I sent Jay a message saying we absolutely didn't deserve that. And obviously, in some ways, that's true. Chelsea dominated the midfield. They played out of their skin. That's what happens when Chelsea play their biggest rivals. And they had chance after chance after chance that it could have been 3 or 4, let's be honest. However, I'm going to revise that because it wasn't 3 or 4. Because does a team that wastes that many chances deserve to win? Probably. But they didn't. They didn't do it. So, Havertz had a really clear-cut chance at the start. That ball in from Reece James put it on a plate for him, and he didn't manage to get that on target. Sterling danced into the box and blazed over. Like, these were solid chances that Chelsea kept missing. So, yeah, for Tottenham to hang in there and nick a 2-1 at the end, I think that's absolutely deserved. Completely. Don't know what we were doing for the first goal. Koulibaly shouldn't be left that unmarked. Sort of a similar thing for Højbjerg. Wasn't a foul before the Højbjerg goal. Don't know what Tuchel's talking about there. Bentancur clearly gets the ball. Richarlison doesn't block the view of the keeper, so he's not offside. And then obviously we kind of, again, leave far too much space for a defender and let Reece James in, which is good for my fantasy team, but I was annoyed at the time. And look, I've seen Chelsea fans talk about corruption that Cucurella's hair got pulled by Romero. Let's not forget that Cucurella shouldn't have been on the pitch after stamping on Romero, so I'm not having that. Jay said to me, 2 rights don't make a wrong. Well, we can't pick which wrong to be pissed off at. We're even, as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, I'm happy. Also, Tuchel was on a yellow when he ran down the touchline celebrating. Also a yellow card. I don't really care, but stop getting picky about what you're pissed off at. Be pissed off of it all, but you know what? Loved it. Really didn't think we were winning that one, and we nicked it. And that's what derbies are about sometimes. So a point away at Stamford Bridge is always a good result, and I'll take it. And I hope Jay had a lovely time in London, but I hope that little part of it was Just a bit shit. See you next week.
Let's take a break right now and we'll go back to part 2 where we're going to talk about some of the other games in the Prem. So the Premier League weekend started with a dramatical game between Villa and Everton. You know, of course, this was painted as the big Lampard versus Gerrard derby, and first time they met as managers. It's really interesting, really, isn't it, to see, like, you know, both legends of the game become managers and both pretty shit at the back end of last season. Both managers, you know, have very different of experience. You know, Rangers with Gerrard winning the league, stopping Celtic's dominance, but then also Frank Lampard being at the highest end of football with Chelsea and getting to finals and getting top 4. So this was interesting, and I think on paper Villa should have absolutely wiped the floor with Everton. Their team is miles better. I think that Villa team, when you actually deep it, when you look at that Villa team, it's fucking brilliant. Sorry, there's noises outside. But like that Villa team's brilliant. It's full of class players. Watkins, Ings, Coutinho. I think, you know, McGinn, Cash was brilliant in this game, and so they should be wiping the floor with him. Obviously, they didn't. It ended 2-1, and I don't think Everton played that bad. I don't actually think Everton played that bad. Everyone's obviously laughing at Lampard, saying he's a shit manager. He's going to be the first one to get sacked, and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, I mean, I understand, but I think he got them playing alright. I really do. They played alright against us. We found it hard to break them down. I think he's got their defence actually kind of sorted now. It's Tarkowski and Cody, which is mad. Cody's a great signing for them. You know, someone that, you know, is a Scouser, loves Everton. I think he's a Liverpool fan, but you know, that rivalry is nonsense anyway. They don't actually hate each other, so so you know, that's great. I think he had the defence sorted. I think there was just a few minor mistakes which led to Villa scoring. I mean, Danny Ings with that powerful shot. Chelsea need to sign Danny Ings. I'd tell you that. If you're listening, Todd, my mate Todd, actually, I saw him at the game the other day. There's a photo of me and him. But if you're listening, go sign Danny Ings, because my God, that shot of his was brilliant. And yeah, and I think this kind of shows just where the two squads are at. Everton can't score to save their lives. It was an own goal. They got it. Like their attacking players are shy. I mean, I keep bringing us back to Chelsea. I'm sorry. You know, that's how my footballing brain works. But we were linked with Gordon after that draw last night. Like, no, fuck off. One, he's their only attacker. Let's not be that mean to Lampard. But also, he's all right. He's a bit of a techie player. He can bring the ball forward and that. But he just falls over all the time, and he's not what we need. We don't need another fucking winger that has no end product. We need a goal scorer. You know what I mean? And that's what they're lacking. They're lacking a goal scorer. They don't. Richarlison left, who had, you know, brought a bit of that. And yeah, so they are going to struggle this season, but I don't think it's as bad as everyone else is painting it out to be. Elsewhere, Southampton Leeds 2-2. Don't care about that. Arsenal continuing their great form with a 4-2 winning over Leicester. Leicester, a team everyone's not too excited about at the moment. I think, you know, they're losing players rapidly and not getting any in. No one has faith in Brendan Rodgers anymore. They still managed to grab 2 goals out of this game, but listen, Arsenal are going to be exciting this season. Arsenal fans are in for a fun season, because I don't think they're going to achieve what they think they're going to achieve. I think Arsenal fans are proper deluded, one of the most deluded fan bases in football. They think they're going to win the league or whatever. They think, you know, top 4 is just theirs. They have every right to it, which they don't. They're going to have to work hard for it, but they're going to have a very exciting season. Excuse my voice. Excuse me. Because they're just going to score loads of goals. They're just going to score loads. Like, that's just how it's going to be. I think Jesus has been brilliant. Like, he showed up today and just pulled every string. 2 goals, 2 assists. Unbelievable from him. Some decent goals as well. He's going to have a great time at Arsenal, and I think they're going to have a great time watching him just score loads of goals. Like I said, I think their tactic's going to be, we'll score more than you. That traditional will score more than you and hope for the best, because their defence isn't as sharp as probably they'd hoped. I think they've got some decent defensive players there, but they definitely need to fix that maybe next summer. And if they do that, if they get like a world-class centre-back in, then Arsenal are dangerous. But right now, they're scoring goals for fun. They're having a great time. And yeah, let's move on. Man City just pumped Bournemouth. What else can I say there? I mean, the only thing that it can be said really is that Haaland didn't score. He got an assist though, I believe, didn't he? But come on, it's just not even fair, is it? Like, it's Bournemouth City. It's just water torture. They're just gonna keep doing shit like that. They're just gonna go over and over and over again. Get a goal, tick away. Get a goal, tick away. Get a goal. There's nothing, there's nothing new here. That's just another sign of this league maybe being a bit boring, with, City just not running away with it instantly, but already having a slight points gap and a huge goal difference gap. So, yeah, that's a bit of a depressing one when you deep it, really. But let's move on to something less depressing. Well, less depressing for me, anyway. Brentford 4. Manchester United 0. What a game. I missed the first 2 goals, but I got back and I saw that it was 2-0 and I was like, no way. And then we instantly grabbed a beer, laid down on the sofa and watched the other 2 goals roll in. It was fantastic. What a crisis club at the minute. They're bottom of the table and I just don't know what to say. I don't know what you say to this. This is insane. Like, what I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Brentford were beating Manchester United 4-0. The Manchester United I grew up on, and all of us grew up on that team. Starting with the class of '92, that successful team in the early 2000s. They were a force to be reckoned with. I hated United. I absolutely hated them. They were too fucking good. And now we're watching Brentford beat them 4-0, and it was just dreadful. And you've obviously got Gary Neville coming out. I mean, Jamie Carragher absolutely called this. I mean, I was like, I thought they were mates. He sent for him. He was like, when United lose today, you're going to call out the Glazers, but you said nothing whilst they were paying you, which is, I mean, it's a fair fucking point, isn't it? But, I mean, both of them have points here. Obviously, what Jamie said about Neville, it's true. But at the same time, someone needs to call out the Glazers because Manchester United is rotten from top down, and buying all these fancy players for loads of money is not helping in the slightest. And Ten Hag had joined a sinking ship, and I can only feel bad for the guy. I actually feel bad for him. Like, he's fucked it, and any manager going there now. I mean, obviously managers are going to go in with the thought that they're going to be the one to change Manchester United, but they absolutely fucked it. He's fucked it, that decision. And yeah, Manchester United, absolute basket case. It's kind of crazy when you actually think about it. Elsewhere, you had Wolves, Fulham 0-0. Dreadful, boring game. Same, Brighton, Newcastle also 0-0, which is kind of a surprising one. And then Nottingham Forest beating West Ham 1-0. Declan Rice missing a pen, which is annoying because I've got him in my fantasy team. West Ham probably showing signs of not being the same as last year. Maybe last year was their biggest push, and now this year they're not going to be as good and need to maybe have a bit of a rest year, a bit of a transition year. I think Declan Rice needs to get his act together though, because I know missing the penalty isn't everything, but if he wants to be in that England squad, needs to step up a bit more. And also, if he still wants that big move, £100 million for Declan Rice isn't going to happen if he continues in this vein. And that's it really. Liverpool still yet to play Crystal Palace. That'll be actually a big test for them. Palace are a good team, and I think we'll see what Liverpool are made of here. Kind of drawing last week to Fulham, now needing to get a win, even though it's only the second game, a must-win game just to keep a bit of pressure on City. What can they do? And then I think on that we'll look ahead. Next week's fixtures in football, not the most exciting weekend, but a few good ones in there. You got the Tottenham versus Wolves, which I think Tottenham didn't look great against Chelsea, but they'll probably bounce back pretty easily here and get a routine win. I think you got a big game between Chelsea Leeds. Tuchel won't be there. I think we need to win that one. For sure, just because of the draw that we suffered that game, a bit of a kick in the teeth. I think going and getting a win against Leeds, and a nice win as well, a comfortable win, will get the spirit back between the players, which is something maybe got dropped off a little bit, even though it didn't seem to. I mean, Reece James's post after was beautiful, just saying my club, he's the future captain, isn't he? You can see it already. Elsewhere, we got City versus Newcastle, the money derby, and any other big fixtures there, not really. Not really. Move on. Of course I'm missing the Manchester United Liverpool game. This is actually going to happen. I feel like we're going to release a podcast before then that happens, because we upload on a Monday, but yeah, it's a difficult one. But I mean, what's there to say about this game? Liverpool should pump United. Obviously, that's not how football works. Just because United lost 4-0, they're not going to just automatically get pumped 6-0 by Liverpool. But because they will step up, and it's a derby, big one as well, big game. But Liverpool should smell blood here and should just embarrass United even more and just run them into the ground, and I'm sure United fans are absolutely shitting themselves for this. It's at Old Trafford as well, which is fun. I think that's it. I have nothing else to add here. Sorry if this podcast is a bit shorter. There was no Josh to kind of bounce off of. This obviously isn't like this every week. It's just every now and then, if one of us can't make it, the other one will step up. I tried to get a guest, but it's hard to get a guest filming Monday morning, isn't it? I'm filming this dead early on the Monday as well, because I also have a job. But I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you watching. New podcast every single week where we talk about the football. It's great to do this again. It's great to talk about football every single week. I appreciate everyone that's kind of here for this journey of ours. The back post has been a weird roller coaster of emotion and content, but I love this channel a lot. It means a lot to me that people are still here and people are still listening. We're available everywhere on all the platforms as well. So obviously you might be watching this on YouTube, but we're also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of that. So if you don't mind, if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed this podcast, go check us out on that. Give us a rating, or just go listen on there. Get the numbers up for us. I'd hugely appreciate that. I really would. But I think that's it, isn't it? I think that's it. I'm going to wrap it up there. I really do appreciate everyone listening. I love you loads. I'm going to let go, stop talking, and as always, tell your dad about this podcast, because he might enjoy it as much as you did.